Research has shown that Africa's future is urban and that the continent's urban population is the fastest growing globally. By 2035, every one person in Africa is likely to live in a town or city, which raises the concern of urban sustainability. Depending on who you speak to, the essentials for achieving urban sustainability in countries of Africa, especially under the context of climate change, will vary. I am Abdullahi Hassan and welcome to this week's edition of Enviroscope here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM Dakar, Senegal, and online on WADR.org. For the next half hour, we'll bring you reports and interviews on our topic of discussion, urban sustainability. Also on the show today, an expert highlights the significance of the newly introduced measures by the Senegalese government to regulate fishing activities and protect the national waters. Enviroscope is WADR's environment program that brings to the fore issues relating to the environment, agriculture, land exploration, climate change, and every other matter that concerns our planet, Mother Earth. The continent's global population growth in urban areas has not only grown but is expected to total about 926 million people or 438 million more than today, and by 2036, the world's 41 megacities will be in Africa. According to a recent report by the UN, megacities have been key drivers of the economic performance of countries on the continent and connected Africa to the global economy. But these projections raise concerns about the future of Africa in managing the expected population growth, the environmental adaptation measures, and conservation of the ecological balance that would allow for a healthy coexistence between man and nature. Well, for environmentalists, scientists, and researchers, urban ecology is key. Awula Sawa, a conservationist, advocates greenery, all true.
And what I would say is that in the past, we had a love for the environment, for greenery, and for trees. As you rightly said, not only do they provide shade and give us pure air, we also have edible fruits which help. And now there's been the tendency to build on almost every inch of land, or as you said, pave everywhere. And you might have a token tree, and that's that. And this to me is the spread of the concrete jungle, a mentality that says that every inch of land, we want to make use of it. And we don't realize that we are, in a sense, poisoning ourselves, because trees have a very important role to play. A basic thing we know is that the trees give us the oxygen we need and we give them the carbon dioxide. So the more we get rid of our greenery, the more we are affecting our health and our well-being.
How concerned are you that if this is not addressed, of course, it's going to only add up to global warming?
I'm very, very concerned. We've been going to the COP conferences talking about climate change, but you cannot talk about climate change and then sit idly by whilst we are getting rid of our greenery, as you have said. In place of trees, you either see some cement works, or in some areas you see kiosks or shops where trees should be. And this is a very serious situation because, as you rightly said, climate change is a real concern. It's a real concern. We also have flooding. And we know that apart from providing us the shade and fruit and purifying the air, the trees also have a role to play in preventing flooding. We've had increase in flooding when it rains. And so there are so many reasons why we have to focus on keeping our trees. And I would say that a lot has to do with authorities, because the laws are there, but there's no point in having the laws if you're not going to enforce them. And if I might add, talking about Ghana in particular, we are losing a lot of our forest cover. And we have a place called Achimota Forest Reserve. And very recently, that is last year, the government declassified a portion of the forest, which means that on that portion, people can start doing works which were not allowed before. And we would say that the Achimota Forest are the lungs of Accra. And so why would you cut off a part of your lungs? It doesn't make any sense. So these are the things that as campaigners, we are trying to get the government to revoke the EI, and we're also trying to inculcate in the populace the importance of our green spaces for biodiversity, for so many other things, and that we cannot be serious about climate change if we are not serious about ensuring that we don't plant concrete, but we plant trees.
Do you feel that homeowners also have a fair share of the blame, and also the architects or the engineers?
Well, I mean, you're right. Everybody has a role to play, from the architect, the builders, and so on and so. But we all know that authorities are there for a reason. Everybody knows that they shouldn't steal, but you still have some people stealing. That is why you have the police officers, you have prosecution, you have the law, and so on and so forth. So it's not good enough to say that the laws are there. You're 100% right. The architects, and I know when the architects are designing, they normally design very beautiful structures with, then you see the landscape and so on and so forth. But when people want to maximize profit, when the greed is there, they want to build on a lot of the land, and they're not really thinking about the greenery. That's where the authorities come in. You are there for a reason. You know that on a piece of land, you should have a certain minimum number of buildings, because you need room for the plane to, soak off. You need the trees. And so if people don't realize that, or they've forgotten all the learned about the importance of trees, surely the authorities have to do their job. But unfortunately, they just stand idly by and allow people to do what they are doing. And yes, the homeowners ought to also understand what is going on. Right now, you find a lot of houses, because they built and paved everywhere, they're using air conditioners. And this is another problem we have, the use of air conditioners almost everywhere. And this wouldn't be the case if we didn't pave everywhere, build everywhere, and if we had trees. And then when you're building, you have the natural ventilation. But you go to a lot of the so-called new developments, and it's just apartment blocks with air conditioners, because the heat is a problem. So climate change is a real concern, and by our activities, we are adding to it. So a lot of this can be described as man-made, or the contribution of man to climate change. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I would say that everybody has a role to play. But I want to focus on the authorities, because they are there for a reason. And laws are not supposed to be there for decoration. They're supposed to be there to be enforced. And it is when you're enforcing the law that everybody falls into line.
That was Awula Sawa, an Accra-based environmentalist. Speaking of urban sustainability is Dr. Idris Abbas, Director General of the Abuja National Emergency Management Agency in Nigeria's capital. He speaks about one of the immediate consequences of the failure to carry out proper town or urban planning, which is flooding. Dr. Idris is talking to us at a time when more than 30 out of Nigeria's 36 states have been put on alert for flood as the rainy season settles.
Well, last year's flooding in the Federal Capital Territory, it was the same with all other states of the Federation. It was predicted by those agencies, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency as well as the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency, that some area councils in the Federal Capital Territory are going to be flooded. And what we do is to follow it with an early action. But the interesting part of it is that the flood in the Federal Capital Territory are human-induced because Abuja is well planned. We have all the drainages and we have all the culverts and the gutters, as well as the buildings are also well approved, with the exception of some infractions which you could always find in the system. Some people will go and build on the waterways or on the floodplain or to block the waterways. But as at last year, things were well. It is interesting for you to note that with all the diversification, FCT was the only state, I can say, that had no fatality as a result of flood in the whole country. So that is to show that we were really working hard towards maintaining safety and ensuring safety of lives and property. So what we did was that we have the political will of removing all the structures that are obstructing the free flow of water, as well as reconstruction or constructing the river bridge, as well as expanding the culverts, and then the silting regularly, not on the annual basis, all the drainages. Any rain that comes, it comes with rubbles, and it blocks the drains. So we open up the drains regularly every day, and also evacuation of waste. And then we embark on sensitization, educating the public on how to dispose waste, and also how to manage the rain as well when it comes.
I mean, FCT was lucky under your leadership and planning and on-time management that there wasn't any fatality, and that most of the flooding that FCT experienced was due to human-induced error. For instance, people building on waterways. Now, that in itself, it's a major problem. How did it happen?
In every system, you find some errants, some people who are really violating the rules. Nobody is allocating those lands to them. Some of them ignorantly went and bought the land from some people who are very dubious and without checking with the relevant authorities. And some of them deliberately knew that, yes, this is a land that is not supposed to have any constructions on, but they will just risk it, thinking that they can be able to bypass the law. So unfortunately for them, anytime we see any building on the waterways or on the floodplain or on green area or on the sewer line, we can bring the bulldozer and remove it immediately.
How many court cases do you have in all? Because, I mean, for some people, they wouldn't take this lightly. They will actually want to fight back, considering the money they put into building the house, how much they actually bought the land. How often do you have your legal department go to the court?
Interestingly, if we get you building on any floodplain or any infraction on the master plan of the Federal Capital Territory, we will remove the structure, no matter how completed it is. We remove the structure, and you pay for that removal, the cost of that removal, and we will prosecute you in the court. That is what the law says. And you know, already that land, that piece of land is not yours because it is not supposed to be built, but you have to pay for all the expenses incurred in removing that structure. And then if the court decides to take you to jail, very good, and lucky you. If they decide to release you, fine and good. But that is what we do. So in most cases, in all the cases that we have started last year, nobody has taken us to court to say that we have done something wrong. But instead, we take them to court and they pay all the fines.
Has that worked in any way in deterring other people from doing the same?
As I'm talking to you, it has reduced by 75% as I'm talking to you. Because what we have done last year and the previous years, people have now known that you cannot build and get away with it in the FCT.
Abuja is a major modern city like Dakar, like Accra, Ghana, like Abidjan in Cote d'Ivoire. Almost all countries in West Africa last year experienced flooding. What recommendations do you have?
I think what I want, especially West African sub-region to adopt, is to really have a risk coordination team that will work for Africa, especially now that we have rivers running and River Niger, River Benue have cut across some countries, about 9 countries, and feeding those 2 rivers. So we need to really work together, but can be solved if the countries can come together and put some measures, especially now with the climate change issues. We will be able to really handle our own issues internationally and regionally without any
That was Dr. Abbas Idris, the Director General of the Emergency Management Agency at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. If you are just tuning in, this is Enviroscope, WADR's environment program here on 94.9 FM. Stay with us. We'll be right back. In the second half of the program, we turn our attention to Senegalese fishing. Following the publication of the list of foreign vessels authorized to fish in Senegalese waters, the Minister of Fisheries has announced measures to protect the fishing industry. These measures are contained in Senegal's Natural Resources Management Project, which was announced by Dr. Fatou Diouf. Sankwele Janko has more in the following report.
According to Senegal's Minister of Fisheries, Fatou Diouf, many monitoring, control and surveillance actions have been carried out since the publication of the list of foreign vessels authorized to fish in Senegalese waters. But these efforts are not enough, hence the implementation of the Senegal Natural Resources Management Project. This program is financed by the World Bank to the tune of $100 million over 6 years. The main aim of the project is to plan and improve fishing activities in Senegalese waters between now and 2028. It is being implemented by the Ministry of Environment and Ecological Transition and the Ministry of Fisheries. The target areas are the regions of Kaffrine, Kédougou, Kolda, Sédhiou, Fatick, Saint-Louis, Tambacounda, and Thiès. According to the program, 24 surveillance pirogues will be acquired for fishing communities in the intervention zones. The project will also provide communities with the logistical and material resources they need to better monitor the waters and preserve maritime resources. There are also plans to register pirogues and digitize fishing license. The program also includes the construction of modern fishing wharves at Fastboy in the Thiès region, at Cap Skirring in the south, at Ziguinchor, and at Ouakam in Dakar. The project further details the construction of fishermen's houses and the setting up of income-generating activities to support the development of the fishing industry.
Sankwele Janko reporting there. Reacting to the measures by the Senegalese Ministry of Fisheries is Mamadou Sarr, coordinator of the Ouakam Fishing Wharf and coordinator of the Coalition Against Fish Meal and Fish Oil Factories in Senegal.
Yes, very happy. As we said earlier, it is very relevant. It means that it is in the same code of conduct that we had planned before being elected. So currently, Minister Dr. Fatou Diouf is starting to put in place some measures. That means that recently, I don't know if at the same time he called our neighbors such as Guinea-Bissau to have a report to harmonize. That means we can't serve at the level of Senegal and leave the borders a little bit porous. So in that sense, it's a harmonization around us at the level of Senegal to put up signs, acts that will be popularized, that everyone will look for, and that in this same spearhead, we will be able to manage this resource, which is mainly by surveying normally and by putting what needs to be done with the DPS and all the services in this area to really be able to reassure them.
It's a good thing to welcome all the actors with open arms. 24 surveillance pirogues will be put at the disposal of the fishing communities in the areas of the project. These are Dakar, Fatick, Saint-Louis, Thiès, and Ziguinchor. Is this an announcement that is reassuring of you and the rest of the members of the union?
Oui, c'est un plus. Ça veut dire que ça, ici, le font, c'est bien, parce qu'on a besoin de plus.
Yes, it's a plus. It means that if they do it, it's good because we need more. Why? Because there was too much ledague. We let them do too much. It lasted a long time. So for surveillance, we just mentioned the regions. It's St. Louis, the region of Thiès, the region of Dakar, as you said so well. So in that sense, it's a plus. First, there are the CLPAs who are there and make available boats or pirogues so that there is no direct identification to say that it is boats or pirogues. Somewhere we will have to put sticks. These sticks, well, it's normal for a start where people are left alone because There is less surveillance, less control. All of this together is a set that has made the ANS do what they want. So it will take for this beginning of the year, beginning of work, for the minister to start picking. And these boats or these pirogues will be part of the actions that we will take to manage this resource, the management of Senegal's natural resources, to improve by 2028 the management of the forest and the alien resources.
Should we expect, according to you, better conditions in the fishing sector?
Yes, there is a good application because sometimes in Senegal we have the best texts and the best fishing courts, but it is the application that we wanted. So if we apply what we said, because the minister started by putting the columns by talking to the actors. First, it is not yet Ilaji, but the fact that there is a work plan on the Sarinet that is being put in, there are other ways in which we have convened the actors. The actors are the professional organizations that exist in Senegal. They have their say. If there is a say, there are writings, and these writings are the code of conduct. There is the code of fishing, there are regulations, infractions, and everything. There is no good monitoring, there is no good control, there is no good surveillance. That's what we are missing. So we have hope. If we put these acts there, normally we will have better conditions. That's for sure. But somewhere the lack is the monitoring and the adopted control and surveillance that is needed to really manage this issue.
What are you going to do to ensure that there is, as you say, a follow-up of all these measures announced by Minister Dr. Fatou Diouf?
Non, on ne va pas dormir. C'est-à-dire que si on dort, nous, peut-être il y aura pas quelqu'un pour la réveiller, comme on le dit en Wolof.
No, we are not going to sleep. If we sleep, there will be no one to wake her up, as we say in Wolof. We are here in the centennial. In the centennial, it means that the minister, after saying good things that we approved, we can't let it happen. There is no timing. We say it's by 2028, but our vision is 2030. We will realize it in 6 years, 6 months. All the measures will be taken. We expect that by 2030, we will solve the problem. But if the minister says by 2027 or 2028, all of this is good. That means that with efficiency, we can get there. That means that even in 3 or 4 years, we can get there with efficiency. But we have to let everything go. For the young generation, beginning from the age of 16, we will have to re-educate them, show them the right conduct and the right practices, and eradicate all that is bad to move forward. So we have a lot of hope, and we as actors will not sleep on our laurels.
That was Mamadou Sarr, coordinator of the Wakam Fishing Wharf and the Coalition Against Fish Meal and Fish Oil Factories in Senegal. And with that, we have come to the end of this edition of Enviroscope, WADR's Environment Program. Remember, today's package was on urban sustainability. Follow our discussions on Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service, and online at WADR.org. Kindly drop a message on our WhatsApp platform using +221 7818 45421. Again, +221 7818 45421, and please begin your message with the hashtag Enviroscope. Let's have your feedback, comments and remarks to serve you better. Until next week, I am Abdullah Hassan, and it's a bye for now.